It has been a long time coming. What's going on,
Yes.
brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yourself?
I'm great. I'm great. Welcome everyone to Genius and Smart Guy limited podcast series that me and my brother CJ decided to do. He flew out to Seattle to come out and handle some business. There's a lot where voices in the industry and voices in politics that really need to be heard, and so we're making sure that we do that. Go ahead, brother CJ. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So, full name, Charles J. Kelly. I go by CJ the Smart Guy in the industry. I'm a certified public accountant, and I focus mostly on cryptocurrency taxes, bookkeeping, consulting, as well as education. I've been on tour around the country 3 times, educating people on either taxes, Bitcoin, the evolution of money. I'm part of a group called the Black Bitcoin Billionaires, and I am a very Bitcoin person, like pro
Okay.
Bitcoin. And now I'm starting to learn like the politics and the policies that are going on. And so I just want to make sure that people are aware of those, making sure they're both compliant, while at the same time not getting ripped off, not by any individual or by government.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, a little bit about myself, Dr. Jamar Montgomery, and I've been in crypto since 2016. I've been a builder since 2017. Me and my partner launched a coin called Amy back in 2017. We didn't reach out to any of the exchanges or anything like that because we were very risk averse, even though we were in crypto, because a lot of the things that were going on with worried about the SEC and things like that. But I have been teaching in the space for the last 7 years, and I have given speeches on blockchain, crypto, at the World Economic Forum, during the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and was bringing blockchain and crypto to Southern University.
Yeah.
So,
Shout outs to
and
HBCUs.
shout outs to
Yeah,
HBCUs.
yeah.
Shout out to HBCUs. But what's interesting is that given our backgrounds, our paths have crossed.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we do you remember when we first linked up? Because I know that it started through like Instagram.
Yeah.
It started through Instagram. When was that?
It had to have been 2021, 2022-ish. I remember the first time I met you in person was at Dr.
ABNC.
Boyce
Yeah,
Watkins, all
ABNC.
black.
All Black National Convention.
Yeah.
Yep. That was 2022.
So it's probably 2021 then.
Probably 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, I was looking for folks that were in crypto and looking out for other professionals, and you're the first person that I saw that focused on crypto taxes.
Correct.
And I know now crypto taxes is something that's anybody that owns Bitcoin, anybody that owns crypto is really looking at it now. And if you've been in the game as long as we have, taxes becomes
Yeah.
is now more of a consideration than
It's a
it was
thing now.
before. It's a thing now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a thing now. So, what's crazy is like going back to the ABNC because we were speaking on stage about crypto.
Correct.
Yeah, what do you remember? Do you remember what we were talking about?
It was about NFTs because I know I
Yeah.
think it was Jay Ortiz was there as well. We were talking about NFTs in the future, and my expertise is in taxes, but NFTs are a part of that.
Yeah.
Because NFTs are based off blockchain, cryptocurrency is based off blockchain technology, and so whether it's NFTs, whether it's Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, wrapped coins, tokens, all of those to some degree have a taxable event. And so I just speak on those types of things.
Got you. I see you got something nice on your wrist, bruh.
Yeah, man. It's that Doc Montgomery right here. Two watch Doc right here. Like, what's happening? He got two
Oh
of them
man, I
on.
do. I got my J Montgomery on over here, and I see you got yours on over there.
Yeah, man. Looking real nice. If y'all can't see it, like, it's looking real
It's
nice.
actually my favorite design, by the way, too. So yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
that one. He let
Yeah.
me rock his face.
Okay, man. So we're just trying to get our audience aware of who we are, right? Aware of who we are, because we're going to be talking about a number of things today, and I think it'd be important for the audience to know who we are. So the question I have for you is, looking back, what are some pivotal moments in your journey of who you are today?
It's a
So we
lot.
know you as CJ the Smart Guy. We know you from Smart Guy Communications. We know you from being a CPA, right? We know you from being in the Black Bitcoin billionaires. But what are some pivotal moments that shaped your career in crypto and beyond?
I'll say, so I'm originally from California, Southern California, and
Cali in the house.
yeah, West,
West West.
um, I got a scholarship, a full ride scholarship to Texas Southern, sorry, the illustrious Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. It was my only academic scholarship. I had 12 baseball scholarships. And I thought I was really cool until you realize that a $5,000 scholarship on a $50,000 tuition, it's really a discount, it's not a scholarship.
Yeah.
And so I took the only academic, which was the TSU, and just seeing like black people striving to do well, it changed a lot of my mentality because I didn't realize that there were that many of us that were striving. Unfortunately, I know in California, like at least the place where I was at, um, there was a lot more hatred going on with each other. There was still love, but it wasn't as together as it was at a HBCU. And so I think going there was a huge pivotal moment, graduating and taking a corporate job. So then I went from an HBCU to almost an all older white, working environment. And so that was different. I'm over here 23 years old, talking to 50-year-old white people every day.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. A lot of them were nice. They were really great people, but it was just a completely different environment.
I
Falling
can see
asleep at
that.
my desk, trying to stay awake.
I had that. I had that experience.
Yeah.
I had that experience.
Whew, that was rough.
Yeah. Did somebody take a picture of you and
No,
send it to your supervisor?
no.
Oh yeah. I had that happen to me at an internship, and I had that happen to me on my job, job. Yeah.
That happened to me in college, but not at the
It
workplace.
would have been nice for it to happen in college for me, but nah, heck nah. Straight took a. Uh, I had an internship with Johnson and Johnson. They had a division that worked on heart catheters.
Okay.
And so what happened is I was on my lunch break, but I fell asleep at my desk.
Yeah.
They took a picture, it sent it to my boss. I was like, "Yo, I was on my lunch break. Look at the time that the photo was taken, right?" They're like, "Well, if you're gonna take a nap, go take a nap in the lunchroom,
Yeah.
right?" All right, cool. Now, mind you, I was probably like 16, 17 at that time, and then the other time I fell asleep on the deck of a cruiser of a destroyer. So basically, what happened was I wasn't used to being up that early in the
Yeah.
morning. So this is
Yeah.
when I worked for the Navy, and they were doing some deck operations, and I was knocked out. I was asleep against the launcher or sleep against the ship,
Yeah.
and I was out. And somebody took a picture and sent that to my boss. Man, I was like, "This is some bull crap,
I'd be
man."
livid.
So, well, now when I got my naps, I was around other, my peers,
Yeah.
and I was out of sight. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No.
I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah. So then I left the corporate job after 3 years.
Okay.
And they were working me like a dog. They gave me everything I needed to learn, so I'm grateful. But they were just working me. I was working 8 in the morning, past midnight, past 1 in the morning, and it was salary, so I wasn't getting overtime. So after 3 years, I left and I started studying for myself, studied for my CPA as well as started my business. And I would say 2019 is when I passed my exam. That was when things started to really change because those from 2016 to 2019, from getting that every 2 week paycheck, that was pretty comfy for that age, to nothing, that was rough. And by the time I passed my exam, like really it was almost rock bottom. And by the time I got my
Yeah.
license June 2020,
Yeah.
it was rock bottom. But then December 2020, Black Bitcoin Billionaires was on Clubhouse. And then that started elevating me. And ever since then, it's been up. So I think those were some of the most pivotal points. How about yourself?
Ah, man. Okay, pivotal moments in my life that brought me to where I am right now. I would say that one of the pivotal moments for me was when I decided to leave the Navy, leave working for the Navy, and go to law school.
Okay.
So, for my engineering degree, I started off as an engineer, went to Cal State LA, so I went to a PWI, and then well, like myself, I'm from California too, right? West West, you know what I'm saying? From California too. Went to Cal State LA for my engineering degree. Then I worked for the U.S. Navy. After working for the Navy for about 5 years, the pivotal moment for me was I had just gotten back from a mission. And this mission that I was on, I was sent there as part of a special response team when Kim Jong Un was launching his first ballistic missile. So the U.S. Navy sent me out and a few other engineers to go outfit the Korean ships
Wow.
because those boys was getting ready to head. They had every intention of shooting down that missile if it ever crossed over.
Yeah.
So that I was sent out as part of the team to go actually outfit the ships. So the system that's shooting down drones in the Red Sea right now, that's literally my system.
Wow. That's like it's called like the Iron Dome or something like that?
The Iron Dome is land-based system, and that's Israeli made. Mine was the Mark 41 vertical launching system, so that's on U.S. Navy ships.
Wow.
Yeah, so a few other navies around the world utilize our system. So I came back from that trip, and I was like, I felt like I reached a pinnacle of my career. Of like, this is a major mission. I didn't feel like that I was necessarily qualified for it because they usually sent people who were more senior, and I knocked it out the park.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I knocked it out the park. So I was like, what else is new? What else is there for me? And I decided to go to law school.
Okay.
My mentor had been, saying had got me involved in law, but I was like, you know what? Let me go to law school. Let me go to law school. So I ended up going to Southern University
Yeah.
in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and while there, I also went and got my MBA.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say that was probably one of the most pivotal moments for me of, all right, I'm going to make a change and I'm going to take my life in a different direction and be more. Up until then, it was like doing what my parents wanted me to do and things like that. And I'm thankful for my parents because, they put me on the right track. Now it was about becoming my own man
Yeah.
and really going after the things, going after this real big world that's out here.
Right.
While I was working for the Navy, funny thing about it is that's when I first heard about Bitcoin. So that was in 2012.
That was a minute ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
2012 when I first really heard about it. It was a Gizmodo article
Okay.
about it. But I was afraid of really looking into it because it was all the FUD about it was used on the black market.
Same here.
Right?
Yep.
And so I had a security clearance at the time, so I didn't want anything
Yeah.
messing with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I would have known what I know now, I'd have been like, psh. Right? But hindsight's 2020. But I would say that was probably the pivotal moment in my career was making the decision to go ahead and go to law school.
Yeah.
And then I've just been in crypto since, like I said, since 2016.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned. I think I learned about Bitcoin around the same time, and same thing. I was just like, oh no, that's Silk Road. That's where they buy all the legal stuff. I'm chilling. I'm on scholarship. I'm in college.
Yep.
But I know towards the end, it was my senior year. I remember specifically that they had it was like a game or something. It was like a leaky faucet where if you do certain tasks, you get some Bitcoin. But see, I wasn't thinking about Bitcoin. I was thinking about money because I was broke, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like trying to earn some dollars. And so I actually earned Bitcoins. I was thinking that I was going to be able to transfer the Bitcoins into US dollars, but I had no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
This is before you had all these QR codes and
Yep.
seed phrases. I didn't understand none of that. And so that computer's long gone. If I had an estimate, it was probably maybe 50 Bitcoins, but that's gone. I'm not even going to even think about it because
I am.
yeah, I don't know exactly how many, but I know for sure I was playing that game
Yeah.
or doing those tasks because I was trying to get the US dollar amounts.
Yeah.
It never happened because I never knew how to switch it, and that was gone. So my first Bitcoin that I ever actually understood kind of sort of was 2017. And that came after the movie Dope in 2016 came
Yeah.
out. And so I just downloaded the Coinbase app because it gave you $25 free of Bitcoin. And again, I still wasn't thinking about Bitcoin. I was thinking about the US dollar. And when I couldn't get it out, again, I deleted the app. And my homeboy hit me up. He's like, hey, bro, we're rich. I was like, what you mean we're rich? Well, that 25, I turned like 700 something. I was able to pay my rent. Again, not thinking about the power of Bitcoin. But at that moment, I was like, okay, you don't turn a free $25 into 700 without it being important.
Yep, yep.
And so we had mentioned Dr. Boyce Watkins as well as Nipsey Hussle. They were both encouraging us to study Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And that's where my journey began, right there, late 2017.
You want to know who encouraged Dr. Boyce Watkins to get into crypto?
Talk to me.
So the reason why crypto was on the main stage at the 2022 ABNC was because I was the lead instructor for the Black Crypto Club,
Nice,
of part of the Black Business School that Dr. Boyce Watkins has.
nice.
So in 2021, I was a speaker there, and that was the first time that crypto had been brought up. And I was the moderator for that panel.
Wow. Yeah,
Right?
that's dope.
Yeah.
Pioneer for real.
Yeah. So Dr. Boyce Watkins used to be like anti-crypto. For anybody that knows, he used to be anti-crypto, and then all of a sudden started making the switch.
Yeah. Well, he was telling us in 2017 to study it.
To study it,
Yeah.
right? To study it.
Yeah.
But, and Dr. Boyce, I love you. I love you. You were calling Bitcoin a scam at one point in time. You know what I mean? Or let me put it in Dr. Boyce Watkins terms. It could be a scam, but I'm not quite sure. I want you people to research it. So Dr. Boyce, I love you. I love you. I'm always gonna poke fun at you about that, but I love you. But yeah, Dr. Boyce is dope because once again is one thing that he's always wanted to make sure to do was that our community knew about like financial things like that. And when I tell you that the Black Crypto Club in its heyday, I was teaching 60, 70 people how to open up wallets.
Yeah.
This is when I knew I was legit. When I could teach 70 people how to open up a wallet and transfer Bitcoin all through Zoom.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough. That's hard. That's not easy.
You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I did it through Zoom.
Yeah. It's hard enough in person.
It's hard enough in person,
Yeah.
right? So I knew I was legit when I was able to do that because I was like, yep, not that many people are able to do that. And like you said, just being able to explain to people.
Yeah.
And luckily I had experience of like teaching like my mom because my mom has been involved in crypto as long as I have because of me.
Got you.
So my mom made an investment. She trusted me with like 3,000 and we turned it into 15 in 45 days.
Yeah. Whew, that's nice. Here you go, mama.
And the crazy part too about that, shout out to my mom.
Yeah.
She came with me to Consensus in 2022.
Okay, talk to me. What's consensus?
Consensus it started off basically mainly focused on Ethereum, and then it became a more crypto-based event.
Okay.
So Consensus is the organization that handled. You got two different ones. Now I'm gonna get confused. But Consensus started off as basically like a crypto conference that was focused just on Ethereum.
Okay.
Right, based upon the Consensus algorithm. Right. Well, then in like 2018, they were just a little small pavilion at South by Southwest.
Okay.
Then to come out in 2022 and they take over the entire Austin Convention Center.
Wow. Also, it's grown a lot.
It's grown a lot, right? My mom got to meet Bitcoin Zay.
Okay. Zay,
Yeah, shout out
co-founder,
to
Black
Zay.
Bitcoin Billionaires.
She got to meet Trek.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Trek. I've had him on my podcast.
Yep.
Yeah,
Got to meet Trek. She's got to meet a few others of our peers that are in the industry.
Okay.
During that time. And it just really kind of opened up her mind. She was like, I feel like I'm in the midst of royalty. She's like crypto royalty. And it's like, I think at that moment she really, really like started to get it. She got it, but it's another thing when your mom sees like, oh, these people respect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Correct.
You know what I mean?
It changes.
It changes, right? It changes.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Just to be able to like we finally meeting that person at the ABNC, and you're able to talk your talk. And I know that a lot of times IRS talk and all that stuff, having a CPA is like having a lawyer. Yeah. The worst time to get one is when you need one.
Correct. It's better, or a doctor.
Or a doctor.
I always tell everybody you should have 3 people on retainer at all times. You should have a lawyer, a doctor, and a CPA.
Yep.
Make sure your money is right, your health is right, and your freedom is right.
Yep.
That's just advice.
Yep.
Almost every multi-millionaire, billionaire, they all have at least those three on retainer. Of course, the higher up you go financially, you add to that maybe a chef, maybe a maid. But lawyer, CPA, and doctor to me are always the main three that you want to have on retainer.
How's it feel to be on that journey now?
It's awesome. It was rough. Like I said, the studying part was traumatizing. It was terrible. I don't really have too many good good memories for that 2017 or late 2016, early 2017 to 2019 journey. But I would say once I got my license in June 2020, it's been nothing besides amazing.
Yeah.
I'm able to fund my business. I'm able to fund myself. Now I'm actually taking care of payroll. I'm paying other people. I'm help feeding other people and their kids.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a huge responsibility, but it's something I've always wanted to do, entrepreneurship. I grew up watching my dad work from home. And see, this is where like I think I had an advantage in life because my dad, I seen him in three different stages. I saw him working at home. I saw him working overseas where he really wasn't in the house that much.
Yeah.
He'd be gone for months at a time, weeks at a time, maybe even 6 months, I think, one time. But then I've also seen him work the 9 to 5. And to be able to see three different energies in your dad was very revealing for me because it was like when he works at 8 to 5, when he gets home, he's tired. So, you got 2 hours with daddy time, and it's like, okay, now, son, go to sleep. I'm tired. And it's like, okay. So you have those 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
When he works from home, he's able to take 15-minute breaks here and there, come down, talk with us, play, eat, cook. And even though he might be working more hours, you still get the better energies. He's not tired throughout the day. But then I also saw when he was gone for months at a time, and that was miserable. Because he'd be like, man, where's my dad? You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wanted to base my life based off of how his was when he was working from home.
Yeah.
And so he was doing that as a tech person before everybody else started working from home. And I started doing the same thing. And then COVID happened, and now people are doing it. But I was doing that before the pandemic, and he was doing that like years before that. So
Who'd your dad work for? Oracle?
he worked for SAP.
That's.
So
Yep.
that 6 months I was telling you about, he was working in Germany.
Okay.
So
okay.
before he had a degree, it's funny now. All throughout high school, he didn't have a degree. He was the man. And now he's a doctor. So now he's always like, call me Dr. Kelly, son. And I'm like,
Absolutely. That's what's up. That's what's up. Put some respect
yeah,
on the name. I
yeah.
ain't
So I'm
mad
like,
at him.
hey, I congratulate
I ain't
you,
mad at
Dad.
him. I
I
ain't
see
mad at
you.
him. Shout
I
out to
see
Dad.
you. There you go. Shout out to Dad. And so I think now that having that formula instilled in me to be able to work from home, being able to be flexible, he would come to my baseball games. Sometimes he was coaching, and just being able to see how he was able to operate his life working from home, I have emulated that. And so it's great to be able to be flexible. I come out here to Seattle.
Yep.
I can go to Detroit, help Hill Harper. I go to Louisiana. I work from my phone and my computer. So any state, any country that I'm in, it doesn't affect my dollars.
Yeah.
And so it's been great. Getting the license has definitely changed my life for the better. So 3 years of really traumatization from studying, but ever since then, it's been great. So I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's dope. That's dope. I know CPAs, y'all. It seems like y'all drop off the map January to like mid-May.
Yeah.
Like January, mid-May.
Yeah.
Getting in contact with y'all is. If you are not paying me, if you're not a client, please do not contact me. But I get it though. I
Yeah.
get it though. I know I have my legal background. When I was practicing law, that's a never-ending grind.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a never-ending grind.
What area of law were you focused in?
So I focused on two areas. As a public defender, I focused on criminal law, and then as a private attorney, I focused more on like business formation, trust creation, and things like that.
Got you.
Asset and estate planning.
Got you.
But as a public defender, man, I was in court basically every day, Monday through Thursday. Friday, I really didn't have to be in court, but I was a juvenile public defender, so I worked with kids. And then, in addition, I was trying to keep guys that were were delinquent on child support. I was trying to keep them out of jail.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that's rough.
It was rough, man.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah, because you probably hear like really crazy stories and probably have some empathy for them.
Bro, I had a lot of empathy for him because I was going through my own child support issues while defending these guys, and
Yeah.
I'm listening to how the judge wasn't talking to him crazy, but the DA,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like the prosecutor, and I'm sitting there, and for me, my thing is my number one question was like, how often do you see your children? How involved are you in your child's life, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, and I think that you just kind of just spoke to that, was that it was the dad's presence. If he's there, the money is one thing, right? But is he there?
Yeah.
Because any father that's there, that's cares, is going to make sure that he can do whatever it is that he's able to do for his children,
Yeah.
right? So I really, it got to the point where the DAs, and this is how crazy and screwed up our system is that the DAs would tell the guys that they should get me to represent them,
That's saying something.
right?
Yeah.
The DAs would tell them that they should get me to represent them, but I'm like, why lock them up in the first place?
Correct. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, why do I have to be there just to make sure that these guys, that their constitutional rights aren't violated?
Yeah.
And if you'll violate them without,
Yeah.
it's a whole nother story, man.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother story.
I can
But
see the passion though. That's real.
it definitely is, man, because I think about it, because I had my own, my own struggles, and then just to see, it's like, dude, so you throw this guy in jail, he loses his job, and then what?
Yeah. 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 Then nothing's actually gotten better.
Nothing actually got better. So
Yeah.
what was this all about?
Yeah.
Right? And just watching them just lock them up like that.
Yeah.
And what are you in for? Oh, it was just back on child. What?
Yeah. Because you can't work to pay the child support when you're in jail. So you're actually, say if he's contributing a little bit, not as much as you would like.
All that's gone.
It's all gone now. So you haven't improved the situation.
You haven't improved the situation at all, man. It's very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Very passionate about it.
Is that why you had to get out?
I got out because I pissed off some very powerful people in politics. When I got in politics, I was a threat, and I didn't see myself as a threat. I didn't see myself the way that they saw me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had out there was, child support. And so they used that as a basis of going after me and then taking my license.
Wow. Political game is real.
It is real, man.
Yeah.
It is real. I guess we can either get into it now or save something a little later for the next episode.
Yeah, we'll save that one for the next episode.
We'll save something for the next episode. But yeah, man, I guess you've got an idea of what I'm a little passionate about, right?
Yeah.
And what I want to know from you is what are you passionate about, man?
Man, how money works. So back to my dad, right?
Yeah.
08, 09. I've witnessed my dad work hard forever. Like literally since I was born. I've never known my dad not to work hard.
Yeah.
He's a musician by trade that then transitioned into computers. So like he used to work with Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, Fire. My dad's really a musician, but he gave that life up to be a father. Yeah. And so, he'd be playing his piano at home and he would let us know, hey, much is given, much is required, because I sacrificed X amount of years to make sure I took care of y'all. Y'all better act correct.
Yeah.
And so 08, 09, I was over here like, I got all these scholarship offers. I was thinking, I'm about to go do these great things and everything's gonna be good back at home. The financial crash happens. So to be able to see my dad now financially struggle after working hard, it was like, well, how are you struggling and you've been working hard your whole life? How are the lights out? I don't understand. I don't get this.
That goes against everything that you guys taught me, everything. Yeah.
I've seen you go to work every day. You've traveled. I've been a good son. How is the money not right? And so I really started to become an accountant because I wanted to help my parents out because I felt like they didn't understand it. But then the more and more I learned, I was like, you know what? They didn't understand it because it continually changed. It doesn't make sense. And then it's done intentionally to make sure that they don't understand it. And I was like, so this is an evil game. And so, we talk about the Bible. I was thinking like, the love of money is the root of all evil. And so the more and more I'm studying money, I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't blame my parents. I can't blame anybody who didn't have the understanding because they continuously change the rules. And when you start learning about the rules, meaning like if you make your money passively,
Yeah.
you pay a lower tax rate than you would if you earned your money. So let's just say these are basic numbers. You have $1,000,000 in a 5% stock. You make $50,000 a year without working. Your tax rate is probably going to be around 10-15%. 20% is probably too high. If I work for my money and I make 50,000, I'm probably going to be closer to that 20%. And it's like, So if I work and spend my time and energy, I also get taxed higher than if I don't spend my time and energy. And that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, as I've matured and I've learned it, it makes more sense because there's levels to it. But it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you continuously keep people at that lower level and you keep raising the bar up so that as they're rising, they're getting these pay increases, their taxes are only growing, they're really not making as much progress as they're thinking. And so I'm very passionate about helping people understand money. People think I have a whole lot of money. It's not that I have a whole lot, I just understand it. I know how to move because I understand how it's going. I understand the day-to-day. I understand the macro. I understand the micro. I understand the world money. And so I'm able to move.
I don't believe you.
You don't
You
believe?
got a J. Montgomery on your wrist.
Man, look. Look, I look like money. I smell like money.
I'm trying to tell you, man. They say new money gets a Rolex.
Yeah.
Old money gets a Patek.
Yeah.
Smart money gets a J. Montgomery.
There you go. Look, this is smart money right here, y'all. Y'all gotta go get that. Copy. It looks nice. It looks good on me too. I like that. Yeah.
But go ahead, man. You were saying about you started to learn money. You started to learn money, and then it's like, okay, there's a totally different game that's being played.
Correct.
And one of the ways that they're playing with it is through taxes.
Through taxes, and then later I learned about inflation. See, when I left California in 2008 to go to Texas, the gas in California was like $4.95. I think that's what it was when I finally left. It was at $4.95. And when I went to Texas, it was like $3.50. And I was like, hold up. I never realized that there was such a big difference in gas prices. And then just recently, I would think maybe 5 years ago, I know it was under the Trump administration, in Texas, it gone all the way down to $1.49. And I was like, man, I was paying $5 in high school.
Right.
Like, so inflation is when they inflate the amount of dollars that are in circulation. When you inflate the amount of dollars that are in circulation, the value of the individual dollar goes down, and that's why prices go up. So as prices are going up and your salary's not, you're having to budget more. And a lot of people, they get frustrated with themselves because they're like, man, I don't understand where the money's going. Yeah, it's just devaluing. It's actually not going anywhere. So you thinking that you got this 3-5% raise, but if inflation's at 7 or 8%, you're still losing from that prior year. And so that's where Bitcoin comes into play. And it's funny because the same passion I had about learning money in 2008, 2009 is the same passion that Satoshi Nakamoto had, and they created Bitcoin. They just created it with technology. They were going to checkmate the game and the politics and the Federal Reserve through technology. And so when I started really understanding that, it was like, oh, this was made for me. And that's why I'm taking that passion of learning money now to saying, oh, well, it's the evolution of money. Naja Roberts came out with that. Shout outs to her for that term, the evolution of money.
Shout out to Naja.
Yeah, I went on tour with her 2 years.
Most
So that's where that passion comes from, is that 2008, 2009. And that's turned into the evolution of money because even that old game has changed.
Yeah. It's interesting that you would say that too, because when I really started to learn about money was when I started down my Ethereum and crypto journey. because I wanted to understand it. And it was like, yo, when you talk about the Federal Reserve and things like that, it was like people like, well, I'm trying to explain to people how crypto and crypto works, and they're like, well, how are they just creating money? And I'm like, and I'm sitting there like the same way that the Federal Reserve does,
Yeah.
right? But I'm sitting there, I didn't want to be able to sit there and say like, I wanted to be able to explain it on its own merits, not, in comparison,
Yeah.
right? But it was, I had to be able to understand our current system that well so that I could be able to make the parallels between what's going on
Yeah.
with crypto. And it's like, yo, our government is allowed to operate in a fashion that me and you never would be able to.
Correct.
Like, oh, I owe $1,000. I owe $1,000. Well, guess what? I'm behind, so I'm just gonna print a little bit more money, and now I can give you that $1,000, but what it's worth is not,
Correct.
right? So that sent me on a whole like, just learning about money was like, what's his name, Mike Maloney or something like that. There was a series of videos that I watched of his, Jim Rickards,
Okay.
Reggie Middleton.
Okay. Yeah. Shout outs to
Shout
Reggie.
out to Reggie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Reggie gave me a Veritasium coin.
Yeah.
Crazy part about it, I was in DC either 2016 or 2017, right after homecoming,
Okay.
Howard homecoming.
Oh, Howard.
And Reggie's got this real distinctive,
Yeah.
right? His
Yeah.
voice, real deep, real
Yeah.
distinctive voice.
Yeah.
And this is nighttime, and I'm walking across the quad, and I'm like, this can't be. And I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
your videos help me understand. I got a picture with him, as a matter of fact, and gave me a Veritasium coin.
Nice.
But back to your point about once I started really going down my crypto journey and understanding, it forced me to understand money, and then that helped me understand the difference between a monetary system and a financial system. And then that was like, okay, understanding my government. So,
Yeah.
like yourself, of going from focusing on money, understanding money, and then seeing how money ties into our government and ties into politics.
Yeah.
Which that's going to be an interesting conversation too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And for those that don't understand or don't know, the Federal Reserve is the one that prints out the money, but the Federal Reserve is not an actual federal entity, just like FedEx, Federal Express, is not a federal entity, but that name, the Fed, or
It's a quasi.
yeah,
Quasi governmental entity.
it's not an actual government entity, but they're the one that control the money supply. And there's actually a book. I don't want to butcher the name, but I think it's called The Creature on Jekyll Island. You guys might want to check that out if you want to learn more about how that got started. Because the further you go down that rabbit hole, it's like, wow, that's really what we're spending all of our time and energy on. And it's funny because my uncle, shout out to Uncle Kevin, when he had learned I got my CPA license, he was like, so you're not really studying anything that's like God made, because if you're a doctor, you're studying, the human body. If you're a scientist, you might be studying, biology or like chemistry, chemicals, geology, rocks. You're studying money. And I heard what he was saying, and it was like, yeah, but we don't spend most of our time and energy on rocks. We don't spend all of it on grass and food. We spend most of our time and energy on money. So if we're spending our most valuable asset that God gave us, which is our time, on this man-made thing called money, I think we should really understand money, because it's not God-given, so it's not perfect whatsoever. And then the more and more you dig down, you realize it's imperfectly on purpose. And that's my final conclusion, is it was done intentionally to steal people's time and energy, to make them think that this was the only way for it to be. Because think about it. You work so hard. You have $1 million, right? You can buy a whole bunch of
Jay Montgomery.
J. Montgomery watches. You have $1 million. Their goal for inflation is 2%. That means $20,000 out of your $1 million every year, you lose that purchasing power every year, and that's their goal. There's somebody else that works the entire year to make $20,000. So that means you are stealing somebody's year from you. On top of you might having to pay somebody $20,000. So you're literally having your time, your stored time and energy being stolen from you. And then at least a lot of people I know, they get frustrated with the previous generations. Well, they didn't leave me enough. No, they worked plenty enough to give you enough. But there was a middleman, aka the Federal Reserve, that stole that person's time and energy that was stored for you, and we have no idea where it went.
Oh, I'm gonna push back on that.
Okay.
I'm gonna push back on that. I'm gonna say that whoever is in charge of the credit system,
That's another step. He just took it deeper. Yeah. He just took it deeper.
whoever in charge of the credit system.
Yeah.
So it's not a disagreement, but I'm gonna
Go further with it.
I'm gonna go further.
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
But you know what? We could say that for a further episode.
Got you.
I guess final thoughts. Final thoughts. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I'm a Bitcoiner, so
Of course.
for me, my biggest thing is learning about money. I no longer save US dollars. I save Bitcoin. Not saying you don't have other investments, not saying you don't invest in yourself. I don't put all my eggs in any one basket. However, I just don't have a savings account in Bitcoin. I mean, in US dollars. My savings is in Bitcoin. My operations still might be in US dollars, but I save in Bitcoin. So that's my final thoughts, because all that passion for money, that's been my final like play. So that's where we're at now.
Most def. Final thoughts from me is, if you don't own crypto, your great granny. You know, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that your granny's a hoe. I'm gonna say that your further descendants are going to be enslaved. If you ain't got crypto, you are going to be a slave. I'm going to say that. How about that? If you don't own crypto, you're going to be a slave. Don't be a slave.
Stack G's, stack sats.
And that's facts. Brother CJ.
Yes.
Until the next time.